And good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? Hopefully everything's going well. It's Thursday here. Just getting ready to bug out, heading back to Massachusetts for the week, which is exciting. My son's birthday is coming up this weekend, and so the end of September is always a good time for me to kind of blast home and catch up on what's going on over there. So the studio is just about, I'm taking a bunch of stuff with me, so a lot of it is packed up, so I'll be able to work during the week. But I do have the Island Creek painting, so I thought since that's the last thing left here, we'll work on a little bit of that today. So that's what I got. So again, hope you guys are having a great week and weekend, or not weekend because it hasn't come yet, but last weekend. I hope that was good too. And yeah, that's what I got. So let's switch around. I only have one thing for show and tell, and that is the demo piece from the Monday Night Live on Facebook. So that's all done. So I'll show you what that looks like too. All right. What I got. All right, let's switch around, see what we got. All right, and I will say hello to everyone in a second once I get this all somewhat arranged. I don't know what I'm doing there. All right, I never know what I'm doing with that. There we go. We'll leave that there. And let's see about getting this turned around so I can see what's going on. Here we go. I made sure to turn down the volume on my other devices now, so that Teresa adjusting what's up. All right, awesome, excellent. Okay, good. And we'll turn, I don't know, turn that on too. Okay. All right, so that's the Island Creek painting. That's what we're working on. What we're going to do today is this area right here. What I was thinking about when I was kind of figuring this out, this area here is really the coolest part of this painting because there's so much going on. There's reflections. You can see through the water down to the bottom of the creek bed. So there are rocks and leaves, but yet you have the ripples of the water and then the reflections of the trees above. So it's really complex right in this area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock out the rest of the snow first, and then I'll do the water. Now normally I would do the water because the water is technically behind this snow, and it's easier to do all this and then paint the snow in and be done. But for this, I think I'm just going to kind of work on the bulk of this and leave the edges, and that way I can kind of knock out all this part of the painting and not have to worry about it anymore. So I'm almost there anyway. So that's what I got. All right. And hello and good evening to all my UK friends, my Greenwich Mean Time friends. The other item is the demo piece from the Facebook Live. This is all cleared now. I finished it up. Eric Williams actually ended up grabbing it. So we talked about, what he wanted as far as the end of this to be. So it was pretty quick. And I got it done, and it is ready to fly. So that's how that came out. That's UVLS satin on that as well. So I really like the way the satin looks on these ampersand panels. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with Island Creek yet. I have a feeling I might clear that for like 2K clear. That's a possibility. So 2K clear would give this it's like a sheet of glass was put over it. I don't know how I'm going to frame it yet. Actually, no, I do know how I'm going to frame it because I bought it. It's an open, or I made it. It's an open frame. So we'll figure that out too. And that's what I got there. All right, so let's get to it. So what I'm going to do, since I'm using the photograph 1:1, I'll go back this up a little bit just so you guys can see what's going on here. I need that there. I need that there-ish. Yeah. That. Ow. Sorry, I'm having a bad day. Not a bad day, it's just, actually I'm having a really good day. So because I'm taking off tomorrow, and I'm bringing almost all, I'm bringing everything I need to actually work, but I try to get the 543s done for the Monday feed so I don't have to kind of worry about that. And not only did I do the 5 for the Monday feed coming up, which will be, next Monday, but I also did 5 for the following Monday because That way I won't have to do any 543s when I'm actually on the trip either, which will be pretty exciting. So that just lets me do some other stuff while I'm out. I'm going to be stopping at my buddy Keith's shop, and he said he has some stuff for me, so it'll be a lot of fun. That's what we'll do. All right, I'm going to take the jumbo magnets. Oops. Jumbo magnets are jumbo. These stick so well, it's ridiculous. Straighten this out now. Yeah, these neodymium magnets are insane. As far as how they stick, they really do well. So these are just flat one by ones, maybe. Is that right? A little smaller? No. Oh, yeah, a lot smaller. These are 3/4 by 3/4, but they are crazy strong. These guys. So I love these because these will really let me kind of go right through the board and hold this in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I line this up really well. I'm mostly worried about this area, but obviously, you know, kind of want everything lined up. So I may have to put my big fat head in the way to do this. Actually, yeah, I am going to have to put my head in the way. So let's move this again. Okay, we're going to get you guys closer anyway. So that'll be a good time to do that now. So I can put my big fat head in the way. Let's get you about there will be good. So if you guys have any questions, just shoot them out. I'm trying to, I checked all the settings and I want to make sure that the comments stay, the live feed comments stay. So I'm hoping that everything seemed to be okay, but I was having a difficult time trying to find the comments to some of the other live feeds. So I'm going to try to work that out so that I make sure I can see the comments in case I miss something too. So if you have any questions, feel free. And if I miss it and we're still live, just repeat it so I see it, or just leave it in the comments and I will do my very best to get on there and, you know, respond to it at some point. All right, so again, jumbo magnets. I'll put one up here, which you guys can't see, but I'll put another one down here. So those will go right through the ampersand board, right down to the steel Visionaire, and allow me to flip this. But I'm thinking I might want to be over this side, so I can get at it this way. This is not ideal because I'm right-handed, but I think we can get away with it. The left side of the board is always the weird side because, again, I'm right-handed, so I have to flip it out of the way and then, you know, kind of do this deal. Where if it's my phone's blowing up, I'm sorry about that. Where if I'm doing the right-hand side, it's really easy. I just flip it this way. So anyway, all right. I think what I'm going to do, since this is all pretty light, I'm just going to work on these little sticks and twigs first and then put the tint in. So I have, you can see this kind of grayish blue tint that's in here. That's partially made up of this. This is, I call this, well, this is what I mixed up. This is Island Creek Blue. So it's a blue that I mixed up just for this painting, but it's also very reduced. So I just add a touch of black to that to get it to that gray. That's it with that. Today's cheers is, in fact, coffee because it's going to be a long day. I got to pack the rest of the things up after this, and then I'm out early tomorrow, so being a good boy tonight. All right. For these little sticks and twigs, it's just brown. It's just, I mean, you know, it's a brown that I mix up with whatever's on the palette because it's pretty dark, so I don't have to worry about, you know, really matching anything specific. So if I had some, which I do, if I have some red oxide and some black, those are the two colors that I have on here. I do have some brown, but this wet palette is amazing, but it also changes the characteristics of some of the paint if it sits too long. So brown and white become very watery. It just draws all the, what's supposed to happen is as the paint droplet dries on the surface, it's supposed to draw water from underneath the palette to replace it in equal, you know, in an equal amount. The problem is some of the colors, for some reason, absorb faster than others. White and brown are two of those. So when you put a drop of that on there, well, all the other colors kind of stay the same consistency. White and brown, for some reason, become like water after a little while on the palette. Not a little while, you know, a day or two. So doing pretty good with the lineup here. So I'm just going to keep that going. And I'm going to throw these little sticks and twigs in first, and then I'll tint it. So it should go pretty quick. And again, I talked about it just a jillion times. I don't have to put every stick and twig in exactly where it is. You know, but for this exercise, for this painting, I've decided that's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, I seem to have a resist going on here, which is interesting. I wonder why that is. So what's happening here is when I go to put the paint on, it's beating up. I think it's whatever's going on there. It's just resisting the paint. So we're going to open that up a little bit. And the way I do that, now this has UVLS. What happened way back originally when I did this, I sketched it all out. You can see that really rough sketch under here. So I sketched it all out, then I sprayed the whole thing with UVLS satin. So that locked in the drawing. So what I can do is I can open up the surface a little bit. This is just a really old, worn out Scotch-Brite pad. It originally was probably around 800 grit, but because I use this over and over and over and over again, this is probably about 1,000 grit now. So all I'm doing is really just kind of opening up that surface where I'm going to be working right here. So where I painted a little bit over here, it's starting to scuff that off, but that's not a big deal because that was just like a primer that I kind of threw on there. And I'll be doing a lot of work on that anyway, so I'm not overly worried. I'm more interested in opening up the surface a little bit so that what I paint on there now will kind of not beat up like that. If you guys have any questions, again, just let me know. That should be pretty good. And if it isn't, you just, you know, basically rinse and repeat. Just keep scuffing till it opens up enough to receive the paint. So then I'm going to take just a clean, this is a lint-free shop rag. Just going to clean off any of the residue that's left on there. And now should be in better shape. Let's see what we got. So hopefully you can see that now. It just, the paint just kind of rolls on exactly the way it should. So before it was beating up, it would it's almost like you're painting on wax, you know. Actually, I'll get you guys closer too. Yeah, it's almost like you're painting on wax. It just beads up, and that could be surface contamination. It was too big to be a fingerprint, but fingerprints will do that also. The oil, like if I were to put my hand on this, the oil from my fingers will remain on the surface, and then it'll act as just like a resist for the paint. That'll happen too. So it's hard to tell what it actually was, but it was over a larger area. I tried it in 2 different spots, and so that just probably means it's just this painting has been sitting around for a while, and it's open. It sits on an easel when I'm not painting it, so it could be just whatever's in the air kind of coating it, but open that up and it's fine. It's a bit too light, needs to be a little bit darker, but I can work with it for now. I can always darken it up after, which is what I'll do. Or when I go to repalette, which I'm doing right now, just add a little bit more black to it, and then that'll darken that up too. Since these are so dark and the blue is so transparent, I can do it in this order. If the color was like a light blue, like it had some white in it, you know, anything opaque, I would do that first and then put the sticks in, because obviously if I did the white first, it would cover it as I went to go, you put all that in. But this is like a transparent blue, so it won't even appear on the darker areas like the twigs and the little voids in the snow like that. And this is the Winsor Newton Series 7 size 00, so it's the 2/0, which has been my go-to for quite a while now, couple months anyway. Usually I bounce back and forth between this one and the single 0, but it's been all 00 for quite a while. I don't know why. It's like I tell people all the time. It's really just, I don't know. It's personal, whatever kind of needs to be done at the time. But this 00 has been getting a lot of use. In fact, I just bought a new one. I try to buy new ones before, keep them in stock essentially. But I can get over a year with one brush, so it's not like I have to rush out and buy one. But I like to have them floating around just in case things go sideways. So Honey Rivera was the one who inspired today's feed, because I was in kind of the same boat on Monday, as I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do for the Monday feed, since a lot of stuff can't really be shown. And this painting was one of the things on that list that was a possibility, but people ended up choosing the skulls, which is fine. But Honey reminded me that this painting's been going on way too long, and if it's ever going to get done, I really need to work on it. So thank you, Honey. And I also mentioned too, if you're not signed up on my mailing list on my website, which is stephenleahy.com, do that, because my plan is to have the holiday cards be this painting. So if you're on the mailing list, I'm going to be sending out holiday cards, and this painting should be that holiday card, I hope, if I can finish it. And I promise I'm not like Famous Footwear or Applebee's, that when you sign up for the mailing list, you get 12,000 emails a day. I maybe, if I'm lucky, get 6 out a year. So it's not terrible. Cody Adams, what is up? And Paul, what's going on? I'm sorry, I just looked out and saw you guys were there. Oh, thanks, Paul. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. I know I'm going to do another one. That template was a lot of fun to work with, and there were some other things that I wanted to do with that stretchy kind of feel. So I'm definitely going to do another one and just push it a little bit farther. So that'll come. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get that done though, but maybe for another feed. Or I'll start it on my own and then finish it on the feed. So it'll be the opposite. Instead of starting it and then me finishing it on my own, we'll do it the other way. So you guys can see it getting finished up. You guys still on there? Yeah? Yeah, good. So that's what I got. And I'm getting comments there, but not there. So here we go. Okay. So yeah, so Monday the feed is all set to go. I don't know where I'm going to be doing it yet, but regardless, it'll definitely happen. And I have, like I was saying earlier, I have all 5 paintings ready to go already for that feed, so that was good. And then, like I said, also what I did for the following Monday, because obviously, we haven't had the Monday feed yet coming up. Which is where I get all the suggestions from. I went back in time. Not really went back in time. I just grabbed the spreadsheets from the beginning of the year, and I chose 5 paintings from suggestions that were made like in January and February, which was fun. So some people I haven't seen around in a while. So we got a lot of good suggestions throughout the year that I just can't use because there's just not enough. I only do 5 of them, but we get tons of suggestions, good ones. So I grabbed 5 and did those. So I have 5 for when I get back on the 3rd, which will be fun. So I've been busy. You guys are still in the frame? Yeah, okay. All right, so for these, I don't know if I'll do these larger, like these larger voids near the edge. I think I might pass on those for now. Yeah, because I still didn't do any of this up in here either. So back you guys up, actually a little bit. Try to put this in a spot where you guys can see, but it's not right because it's right in my face. This is okay, but it makes it tough to see what I'm doing. Try that. Okay. There's some green popping up there too, so throw that like these little stalks here down at the bottom. Those are green, so I'll just throw some green on this palette. I've been lax with the Tech Tuesday and the time lapses because things have been so busy, but I will get back to that. And I was gonna, the next Tech Tuesday I think I'm gonna do, whenever I do get to it, will be on this wet palette again that we were just talking about. This thing has been just crazy amazing. Definitely one of those things that that I won't work without now. It just works so well at extending out the paint for paintbrushing. You know, before, like I was saying in the first video that I did on the kind of the rundown on it when I got it, I put out drops of paint and they're dry within 15 minutes. So I scrape them off and put another drop. And I know it's not about saving paint because it's only a drop, but it's aggravating because the paint is correct consistency for about the first minute, 2 minutes. And then it just dries out and you can't use it. This actually keeps it usable for a long time, like days, which is great. So, all right. So this is, again, back to the green. Now this I didn't scuff up here, I don't think. Maybe I did, but this isn't resisting either, so we're in good shape there too. As my phone happily rings on my desk right next to me. Oh well. Again, I should be fired, you know, not taking care of those things. Dan, what's up? All right. There's a lot of stuff. I didn't do any of this up in here yet. And I know this painting has been hanging around for a really, really long time. And the main reason is because it's for me, essentially. You know, it doesn't have, no one said, you know, that no one's claimed it yet. And you know, as far as that all goes, you know, this painting would have happened whether someone had commissioned it or not. So anyway, since it's for just general consumption, and it's a painting that's designed to take a really long time. There's a lot of hours in it. It's always pushed to the side when something else comes in. That's just how it goes. So as a result, I mean, this painting, and there are other paintings like this here that have just been ongoing for, in some cases, years. I have a big painting that I'm doing on aluminum of a bunch of motorcycles that were built by AudioWorks, and that painting is years old and it's sitting there half done. So, and I don't mind. You know, I mean, things all happen when they're supposed to happen in a way. And again, there's no one saying, okay, I got to have that right now. That would change things for sure. But especially on things like this, I refuse to just rush them to get them done. That's the whole point of these paintings, that they don't have. And I just talked about this on the Open Studio today, in fact. These paintings determine how long is going to be spent on them. They do that. I don't. So whatever it is what it is. It's, you know, just I keep picking at it, keep putting everything I got into it, and when it's done, it's done. So there are no corners that are going to be cut for any painting like this. That's what the 543s are for. The 543s are designed to be, you know, super quick, almost like a paint sketch for me, you know, get them done, have a lot of them, that kind of thing. But these paintings are not. So that's how that works. All good. That's good, Dan. Very cool. I like to hear it. So what I have found too, and I was thinking about this today as I was kind of going through some things, the 543s have been such a blast to do. They're in their second year, really, of their existence, these really fast black and white paintings that I've been doing. For anyone who, you know, has asked about, you know, creative block and, you know, what do you do when you just don't have, you know, either you just don't feel it, you know, nothing's coming to you. All I can say is do something like that. Just do art. And it could be something academic, you know, where you're just doing some drawing exercises. But by just creating the art itself, it for me, it just will lead to something all the time. Like as soon as I'm working on something, especially, and that's what I mean. I noticed it on these 543s. I do them, like I said, they can't take more than 2 hours for me. That's kind of the self-imposed time limit I have on them. But while I'm working on them, I'm like, oh, this would be a great full painting. Like if I did something like this. So, and it just comes from doing these sketches, basically these little paint sketches. They're 2 hours. I'm banging out 5 a week. And they're leading to other things. They're leading to these bigger paintings. And it's, you know, I've been fortunate in that in my entire career, I can't ever remember having artist block, meaning, you know, like, oh, I just don't know what I'm going to do next. Because it just seems like as I'm working on one, it moves to the other. Now, the whole thing of it is being creative. You know, that's when you just don't, you're doing something, especially for like if it's a commission and you're just not into it, that's a whole different thing. That, you know, then you just have to kind of slog through it because, you know, you're not as interested in their vision. And that, I don't mean that in a bad way, but they want something. You're supplying that piece of art for them, but it's their vision that you are fulfilling. And sometimes you just don't, you're not as into it, you know. So it's that kind of, you know, just constant blasting. And like I said, even if it's just academic, even if you're doing some figure drawing or drawing from life, or, you know, picked up a how to draw book or something real simple, and you're just doing the exercises that are in there, that kind of stuff is what breaks that block for me. You know, just doing something that may not be overly super creative, but keeps everything going, you know. So there's today's rant, today's soapbox, as it were. Ow. Ow, I do that all the time too. Slam my head on the bar. So you guys can't see below there. Okay, good. Not good, but I just want to know where I shouldn't be painting. So again, I know, like I said, these little sticks and twigs could be placed anywhere. I don't need to do this flippy thing. I could just paint a bunch of sticks in and no one would know. But for me, with this painting, it was from the beginning, it was It was, I want, you know, I really want this to look exactly like the photo that I took, but with improvements. So that meant, you know, the sticks and twigs were going to go where they really are. So it's more of a, you know, kind of a visual, you know, it's like a puzzle for me, essentially. So again, I don't have to put all the leaves and twigs and everything in exactly the spot they are, but this is a great eye training thing. You know, it's like, look at the reference, try to get this in exactly where it should be. And it's, you know, it helps you grow as an artist too, because you're pushing yourself in a way that, you know, you normally wouldn't. You would just say, okay, there's a bunch of twigs here, I'm just going to, you know, paint in a bunch of stuff. And then it's done. Then that part is gone. But for this, it becomes an eye training thing. All right, hold on 1 second. I will be back in just a second. Sorry, my paranoia was kicking in. Margie's running around on her afternoon break, and all the phone ringing that was just going on. I just had this weird feeling like I should check the phone just in case it's her and she needed something, but it's all good. So thank you for indulging my absence. Oh, you know what I'll do? Since I can do this now, because I remembered this time. Hang on 1 second. Let's do this. Where am I looking? That's what I want. I want this. And I want this. And I want this. Okay. So there is the actual photograph. So you guys are seeing the kind of the beat up print I have of this, but that's the actual photograph. So again, if you look at it, there are some adjustments that I made to it, mostly with the overall color. And also what I tried to do is, this creek is in our neighbor's yard, and it runs out to the street, and then there's a small bridge and it goes underneath the bridge, but there's a lot of stuff in it. In the fall, I don't know when it was, but there were just, like, like 3/4 of the way up, there's a pole or something. So anything man-made I took out, and you can't really see it up on the top there, but on the very top left is the actual neighbor's house. So I took that out too, because this is essentially their backyard, even though it's on the main road. So their front of their house is on the cul-de-sac side. But anyway, the property is amazing because this creek goes right through it. There's a lot of trees, and it's a deer highway in the fall. Just tons and tons of deer kind of cross there. They're following the water. So that's kind of what's going on with this. And then we had a snowfall that was just beautiful, and this normally unassuming creek just looked really, really nice. So that's how that all kind of came in. So here we are, and I want that again. There we go. Enzo, what's up, buddy? Oh, coffee, coffee, coffee. All right. So I'll keep picking at this for a little bit, and then I'll switch to the airbrush. So this entire painting was done for airbrush wise. It was a chance for me to try out the new Mike Learn Mojo. So this is, I shouldn't say new, it's probably about 1.5 2 years old now, that he reintroduced this brush. This is based off of a Rich Pen 222C, which is their high detail brush, but Mike does a lot of hand tuning to it, which makes it crazy. So that is the brush that I was using for this one, and other things too, but that's the Mojo Plus. So you can go to Mike Lauren's site, any one of his sites, his Instagram or Facebook as well, and find links to that. But it's mojoairbrush.com, I believe, is the. But if you go to learnairbrush.com, which is Mike's actual site, Learn Airbrush, you can. I know you can get them there too. But on Instagram, it has he has an account just for that. It's Mojo Airbrush, but I'm a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan of Japanese airbrushes. It's the brush, that style of brush I started with. So I'm just really, really comfortable with Japanese-built airbrushes, and the Rich Pen falls squarely in that category for me. Just really comfortable. I like the way that they're put together and built, and then what Mike does to it is great. I don't know what he does to the trigger, but like I always tell people, it feels like it's coated in Teflon or some sort of artificial material, because it's super, like the action is really smooth, which I like a lot. He does have another brush too, which I don't have here. It's on the other side. It's a 0.3 gravity feed brush. So he put between the two of them, it pretty much covers you in all the detail type of airbrushing you would ever want to do. So, and somehow I broke my Visionaire. This is one of the Visionaire squirt bottles that have a little holder for it. This is my isopropyl alcohol one. Somehow, I think from just squeezing it a million times, I cracked the bottom of it, so it leaks everywhere now. So the good news is I talked to Visionaire, and I said, hey, are these going to be available separately? And they are. So just waiting on a new order of these to get to Coast, and I'll place an order for actually I'll get a couple of them, because I really like the bottles, but I do think they take some abuse, because like I said, I'm squeezing that thing. I use that to clean out my airbrush, so I'm abusing that thing all the time. So I think I'm going to grab a couple of them once they're available separately, so that when they do go, I'll be ready. And this painting is one of those paintings that, the New York painting was the same exact thing. It just seems like it just keeps going on and on and on for me while I'm working on it. And I'm like, is this ever gonna, will I ever get to the point where it looks like there's a light, like I will get this done? The New York painting felt like that a lot. Like I was just kind of picking at that, and then all of a sudden you get to the point where it's like it's there. So this painting, that's happening with this painting too. Like as I'm kind of picking at it, I'll take a step back, or I'll see it on the easel, and I'll be like, oh man, that's actually coming along. Like it's gonna happen. So, and I'm getting some resisting up here too. More than likely what that is that's me grabbing this thing and putting a big fat fingerprint on it. So I got to be careful and watch kind of where that's happening, to make sure. Like here it's not, here it did, so it's probably some sort of fingerprint. So the way to kind of get around that is to, I can't scuff that because I'll take off all the paint, but what I can do is I can, and I put paint on there now so I can't do it, but that same dry shop cloth, it's got some, I don't know, it's like 5,000 grit sandpaper really, because it's paper. But if the paint is dry, you can actually kind of just keep rubbing it back and forth. You'll remove that deposit without really damaging the paint. If you sit there and hammer the thing, you will start to, remove paint as well. But if there's, you got to get the oil off. So. So, you know, what happens there is, you know, you keep working it till whatever, you know, is off of it, and then you just repair everything. Yeah, I didn't do any of this up here either. It's fun. You realize, you know, you think some of it's done, and then as you start working on it, you're like, oh, look at that. I didn't do any of that. And that is resisting too. Okay, so we're going to fix this before I go too much farther. And again, for those who missed it earlier, it could be anything. It could be just because this is open and it's sitting around, that it's got some, you know, whatever built up on it that's causing that to resist the paint as I'm applying it. So I just kind of work in small circles with this soft cloth. It's just, like I said, this is just a lint-free shop rag. If you notice right here where I was painting, that's coming off because whatever was there, and it looks like it was maybe a fingerprint or something, because I can see where it was kind of happening. It'll take the paint off too. Now, obviously, I want to do that because if it's not sticking with me with a paper towel, it's not going to stick at all. So I want to make sure that there's an adhesion there. So, Timothy John Luke Smith, what's up? Oh, thanks, Tim. Great feed last night again. Tim has 2 feeds on. If you're not following Tim, check him out. He's got his airbrushing feed on Wednesday nights, and then he does a pastel feed on Saturday nights, which is a lot of fun. So hopefully you can, I don't know if you can see this. I can make sure it's focused here. But now as I go to paint, like where I damaged the painting here, not damaged, but I removed the twigs. When I go to paint on top of that again now, there's none of that resisting. So what I would love to find, and I'm actually going to see Createx, I'm actually going to talk to them this coming week. What I'd love to find, and this may be an impossibility, is a wax and grease remover that's gentle enough that it won't remove like super thin layers of paint like this. That would be ideal. But again, I think I'm asking too much, because, you know, you're looking for a solvent that will remove, you know, random oils but won't remove the paint. And, you know, I don't know. I just think that's a tall order. But now as I'm painting on this, there's none of that resist. It's going down like, you know, like really smooth. So yeah, no worries, Tim. No worries. It's funny because I've been cranking lately, and I've been, you know, just really tired. So by the end of your feed, I'm like glazed over, and I've made a point now not to like lay on the couch like I was doing before. Like I would, you know, put it on the TV or whatever and just kind of relax on the couch. If I do that now, I'm like asleep in 2 minutes. The girls here are always, and actually my daughter too, would always make fun of me because, you know, when I start to watch a movie, it's literally just start, because I'll be asleep in 5 minutes. So if I randomly disappear from your feeds, it's not because I'm not interested, it's because I'm doing what I do so well. But I was up for all of it last night, except the very end. I did have to bug out a little bit because I knew today was going to be early. Pulled off a knead eraser. That's, yeah, could be something like that. Although no, I'm sorry, it's not. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, Tim. There is no adhesive. There is no, you know, tape or adhesive anywhere near this. So it's definitely atmosphere. It's whatever's floating around. Or like I said, I picked it up and grabbed it like this, which is bad. I shouldn't be doing that. But I think I'm pretty sure it's atmosphere, because it was happening down in here too, over a larger area, and that usually, you know, that's not a fingerprint. So I think that's kind of where I'm going with that. I snore in the movie theaters more often than I would like expensive nap nowadays. Trevor, absolutely. Um, I forget what it was. It was. I think I'm pretty sure it was a football night when I was living in Massachusetts. I would go to my parents' house. We would all go to my parents' house to watch, the football games and everything. And after one of the games, one of the new Marvel movies had come out. It was like just coming out, and so everyone decided, hey, let's go see the movie after the football game. I was literally like sound asleep the moment I hit the chair in the movie theater. It was awesome. But yeah, I feel terrible for my daughter because she's, whenever we would do movie night, not only when I picked, but when she picked too, I'd be like, out in 5 seconds. That rich pen must be a great brush. Nothing but good. Looks like a lot like an HPC. Yeah, it's you know what? It's more like, yeah, you know what? If you buy this brush stock, so if you get a 222C, it is a lot like an HPC with extra stuff, like like the HPC Plus with the MAC valve. It comes with a 0.3 millimeter nozzle in it, but Mike ends up changing that to a 0.2, so it's more like a custom micron, or I'd say it's more like a custom micron only because Mike does other modifications to it that makes it perform a little bit better than some of the stock. Just certainly better than it is when it gets out of the box. So there's that. So yeah, it's a good brush. It's just super solid. Everything about it is just Japanese. So I'm glad that Mike has kind of taken the charge of bringing those back in. Rich Pen doesn't have any U.S. distribution other than Mike, which is fine. It's good because Mike is the guy you want bringing those in. But it's not like some of the other companies that have massive distribution. So again, if you're into like hot rods and you want something that performs that way and you don't mind kind of going to one place to get it. And actually Tim's on. It's a very similar to Tim's hot rodded Extreme Arrow. So you can buy the Patriot Extreme from Badger. It comes a certain way. But if you want it all modded up and kind of on steroids, then you go to Tim. So it works out really well that way. And like I said, it's like going to a shop and having someone build you a motorcycle or build you a hot rod, It's the same thing. So, so Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Tim modifies two brushes. Obviously the Patriot Extreme Arrow, which I do have one here. Ugh. So this is the Extreme Arrow. I put an old Omni 106 brass handle on it, but this is the Arrow. This is the base model for what Tim does. But he again, this comes with a tall trigger and a bunch of other stuff. But Tim modifies that all. The other one, do I have one here? Yeah, I do. The other one he modifies is the Patriot 105, this one. So this is a stock 105. You can see the super tall trigger on this. This is how you would get it if you bought it, from Badger. But again, if you go to inkflingers.com, you can see Tim's brush and what he does to it. And again, I love that people are doing that. Like I watched Dave Goldfarb do. Dave Goldfarb is off the charts. Dave's actually manufacturing parts, which is awesome. And David Naylor too, but I love this whole hot rod idea, where people will take an existing brush, use it as a platform, and then make something much better out of it. I think that's awesome. And I'm super happy that they're making them available, for us, which is also fun. So you're not just watching people with these, crazy, awesome modified airbrushes that, we can't have. There we go. There you go. The two brushes, yeah, and and a lot of other things too, Tim. You know, it's that's a that brush. Oh, I told Ken right from the start that 105 was just it reminded me of the old 100s. I'd always thought the 100 series from Badger, the gravity feeds, were their best brush. They personified Badger. They were just solid. There were no frills, but they worked, and that's Badger right there. So when he came out with the 105, I felt like that was the first model that was that same kind of thing, where it's just, yeah, they did a lot of stuff with the tall trigger, but not things you can't change easily. Like first thing I did was put on the regular size trigger for it, because that tall trigger is really personal preference more than anything. But yeah, I really like that brush. When I got it, I did a blade for them, a blade painting, and I had absolutely no problem doing what I do with those razor blade paintings with just a stock 105. And I think I may have used the tall trigger on that just to say that I did it all with that brush. And then I believe the lobster pot painting, the painting full circle, I'm pretty sure that was done with that same brush too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong though. Yeah, exactly, Tim. That's a good way to put it. It is. It's just the brushes are just solid right from the ground. And again, what I love about Badger is that they make no bones about it. They don't make this, crazy. They don't go to the extremes with manufacturing. They're not going to make the brush that is going to cost $500. They're just not going to put that time and effort into the brush. They're making a brush that works. It's like a daily driver, essentially. So that's what they do. And credit to them. That's other than the Sotar, when the Sotar came out and was, really that super, but it was their super high-end, kind of supercar brush. All their other brushes are workhorses. That's what they build. And they make no bones about it. That's exactly what they do. So there you go. Yeah, the 105 is just a solid brush. And there you go, Tim. Yeah, I always loved the 100s. I thought they were a great, kind of a great brush. So there we go. I have a switch in my neck. As soon as my head touches the pillow, I fall asleep. Franz, I'm right there with you. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But all right. So I'm too low now. Okay, I'll move it around, or I'll just keep working in this area. But I'm making. That's what I'm talking about. Like this whole section up here wasn't even close to being done when I started this. But now I've got all this stuff pretty much locked in. I just got to do this little area up in here, and it's coming together. So what else is going on in the airbrush world? You guys didn't see it because I was zoomed in when I started, but I have my Airbrush the Magazine shirt on. Just came in. So again, if you're not following Don, I love Don Johnson and what he's been doing all along. Like Don, when it seemed crazy to go up against other airbrush magazines in the industry, Don did it anyway and is still doing it at his own expense, pretty much. I don't think he's making a ton of money putting out his airbrush magazine, but he still puts it out there, and he still gives people a chance to be published, which is awesome. So if you don't have Airbrush the Magazine, subscribe to that. So like I said, if for anything, it's just to support Don. Again, he's a good thing for the airbrush world. So yeah, that came in today, or yesterday. No, yesterday, day before. I got my Airbrush the Magazine shirt, which was fun. And other than that, it's business as usual. Like I said, I can't wait to show you some of the things that I'm working on. And I hate when people do that, but I have to do it. I have to say it. There's stuff I'm kind of working on that I can't show until it actually gets to its destination. But when it does, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So I will definitely share with what's going on. And in the meantime, you guys can watch the Harley painting. That will be every week. I've actually pre-recorded a bunch of episodes, so they're all set and they're in the bank. So they will fire off every Thursday at 10 a.m. So if you're having fun with that Harley painting, that old rusty Harley painting, you can see a new episode each week. And what I've tried to do is I try to keep them to a half an hour, so that they're easy to digest. You don't have to, like, the live feeds are great, but they can run an hour or 2 hours or whatever. A lot of people don't have that. What do I think about landscape as an art form? It's a great. I enjoy it as a challenge. Plus, it's so diverse a subject that it's not like, I mean, you can give the argument that like portraiture is diverse as well, just because people are all different. But for the most part, and Tim was just talking about this last night on his feed, we are all made up of the same muscles and the same, by the way, Tim, I'm going to use fat compartment for the rest of my life now. That was a great thing. We're all made up of the same fat compartments. They're in different places, not in different places, but they're slightly different shapes, which makes us who we are. Our skin tones are different, our eye shapes are a little bit different, but portraiture basically follows the structure of the human form, which can be learned. Landscapes, on the other hand, can be all over the road. I mean, you could do everything from cityscapes to this, to deserts, so I think as a subject matter, it's more diverse than just about anything else, and that includes what I love doing cars. But cars are built pretty much the same way. They're different styles, they're different eras, they're different shapes, but it's pretty much the same kind of deal over and over again. But landscapes can be all over the road, which is why I love them so much. Plus, I've gotten into doing this thing where I frame, I'll actually get a piece of that area, like the beach paintings that I do. I'll have the sand from that beach. So for me, it's like a journey. So I really love that aspect of it too. I don't have anything for the Island Creek painting because you don't want any of the organic material that's all around here. It's nasty. So I'm going to just frame this one. But I think, I think that way it's I love the diversity of, like, if you're a landscape painter, it's all over the road. And I know some landscape painters kind of get specific with what they do. Some are Southwest artists, or some, only do mountains or only do ocean or whatever. But to put it into that category, just landscapes in general, they're just so diverse. It's why I love them so much. Yeah, absolutely. Steve, what do you think about it? I got that one. Oh, 102 IL side feed is hanging on the wall. Still a beauty to watch. Yeah, I never had one of their side feeds. I was using the Iwata side feed, the SB. So I never got a side feed from Badger. I just stuck with the gravity feed. Do I have it here? I have some airbrushes on the wall right here behind the cameras. Just looking to see what I have. For Badger, I just have out on the wall, I have the Crescendo and the 105 and the Arrow. Yeah, that's all I have for Badger on the wall. But yeah, I do have the gravity feeds too, which are fun. Oh, there's some tan in here too. This tan color up here. I do have yellow. Do I have yellow ochre out? No. That's okay. Yes, I do. Okay. So that tan, that yellowy color, that's based off of yellow ochre. So I'll just grab a little bit of that, because there's some stuff continuing on with this guy up here that I should probably grab. Yeah, as it kind of comes down in here. Yeah, so that, speaking of the New York painting, so that New York painting and the Boston painting, the two Boston paintings actually, those are all part of a kind of a city series that I started a while ago, and I didn't intend that to be a, like a cohesive, like I'm going to start with one and do 10 paintings and they'll all be done in order and all that. I just knew that I liked that size format, which is 2.5 by 4.5, and I loved that the only connection between all of them were that they were cities. So they had the size, and then this, similar size, and then that there was some sort of cityscape. So I do have a couple more planned for that. London was one of them. I started the Chicago one, but that just kind of fell off the map. I really got to get back on that one too. And then it's nice as I kind of come up with these, when I go to a city and take photographs or whatever, and I'm able to steal, asphalt or some sort of rock from there. That's how those things were coming together. The London one, I haven't been to London yet, so I have a good photograph, but I was kind of hoping, that it would involve a trip to London to actually get some stuff for that one. Dwayne, what's up? But I don't have any plans right now, but you never know. What I didn't do, although I really didn't, I was too busy when I was in Salt Lake City to get any photographs or, but I also flew to Salt Lake City. And when you fly back, like I did get stopped in an airport with a bag of sand, which was fun. So TSA needed to know what that was, which is fun. So I try not to do that as much now, because they got a job to do, and I don't want to be that guy. Like, what are you doing, walking around with a bag of sand? So that's one of the reasons I didn't do anything from Salt Lake. But I have a feeling I'll be going back to Salt Lake. So I'll be able to get some stuff from Salt Lake too. And I love that it becomes kind of a history of places that I've been or places that mean something to me. Like all those Cape Cod paintings. Cape Cod is that little arm peninsula that comes off of Massachusetts, if you're not familiar with the U.S. And it's 90 miles of beach. It's just a peninsula that sticks out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it is the beach culture, the whole strip, the whole thing. So I spent a lot of time there as a kid, and also, I have relatives who live down there, and so to do a lot of Cape Cod paintings made a lot of sense to me. So that's just, it's fun. It becomes more than just a painting. It's almost like a diary. Kind of surprised Michelangelo didn't invent the airbrush. Dwayne, jury's out on that. He probably did. Probably left it in the helicopter though, and no one saw it. Michelangelo. Someone said last night that Michelangelo would not have used an airbrush. Yeah, he was Mr. Tech. Are you kidding me? Yeah, he was Mr. Tech. If anyone would have used an airbrush, it would have been him. Tim, I think one of the next purchases coming up, and it's not useless, but certainly not something that I'll use every day. But I've been looking at, there's a company now that makes a camera Lucida, a new version. It just basically, it's like the old ones, but they use all new technology, and because obviously all the there's stories of all the masters using the camera obscura, but this Prism Lucida is just a really cool thing. And my dad being an optical engineer, I think about my dad. My dad passed away in May, and I think about him all the time. And this is just one more instance. So I'm looking at all this camera Lucida stuff, and I'm like, Dad, all I gotta do is call Dad, and he'll get me everything I need, and he'll build it for me. But it seems like it's a really, it'd be a really fun thing to have. So for those who don't know what it is and, you don't feel like looking it up, it's essentially a prism that's mounted on a little stand. And what allows you to do is it splits the image that's coming in and the image that's down on the board below you, and it blends them together. So you can have it set up so that as you're looking down at your board that you're drawing on, you also see the image that's straight ahead of you, like a portrait, like someone's sitting there. So you can actually just trace it because there's a ghost image on there, which is really kind of neat. And it's been around forever. It's been around since I think there were prisms. So that, again, here we go. So the idea that, those things are somehow a cheat is literally laughable, because if you've ever used one or a projector, it doesn't do as much as you think. Let's put it that way. Plus, the camera lucidas are difficult to use because of the way that the prism works, and they're so small and they're finicky about the light coming in and all that fun stuff. It is literally a tool. It's a tool that allows someone who's skilled to remove some of the tediousness out of what they're doing. If you don't know how to draw, you will come out with a tracing of what you're looking at, but that'll be it. It'll be a tracing, and it's literally just a tool. It saves time, and that's it. Just like the compressor for our airbrushes. I could use a foot bellow like they did in the old days, but I can rely on technology and grab something that will actually produce air without me pumping my feet, although I'd be in better shape if I had that, but still. Modern graphite pencils. I mean, where do you draw the line, Oil paints now, paint technology, period. Paint and ink and pastels, colored pencils, all of the technology that is different today than it was even 25 years ago. You can discount that. Okay, so I'm going to make all my paint. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grind all my own pigments because that's the way it should be done. It's not a cheat that you're using the technology. It's just different. It's a blending of this technology and the skill. You know what I mean? It's always, a good artist will make it look like a cheat, will make it look like it solves all their problems, but it doesn't. My foot bellows in the shop. That's good. That's good. See, Tim, that would help with my fat compartments. So I could go on and on about the idea of technology and cheats and all that, because I just think it's awesome. It's the same thing. I use a lot of photocopies to lay out what I'm doing, and there is. I hope I do a good enough job that I make it look like a cheat. But whenever anyone says it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you a page of the photocopies. I will give you an airbrush to use and a paintbrush, and go to town. Show me how it works. So it's just, it removes some of the labor, the tedious, not tedious labor, but it removes some of the, not even unskilled labor, it just removes some of the labor so that you can replace that with more creativity. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's our society, Tim. Unfortunately, everyone's looking for the man behind the curtain. And I get it. If something looks too good to be true, it probably is. So I get that too. But it's the people who are kind of on the rampage that, as Peter Griffin would say, those are the people that grind my gears. And during all that talking, I pretty much have all of this kind of locked in now. I got to do a couple of these little twiggies up here. Yeah, there's a few up here that I missed, but other than that. So what I'm going to do real quick, so then we're pretty much, I still got to do this section up here, but I'm going to stop that with that, and I'll just do a little bit of airbrushing just to kind of show you where this goes next. So if you look real close, there's lots of these little indentations where the texture of the snow and where it kind of dips in. So that's what this really light blue is for. It does all that for me. the base here is looks white, but it's not. It's a really pale blue. And that's, something that I had mixed up, originally when I kind of started blocking everything in. So again, don't let that fool you. And what's beauty, I was just saying what's beauty about that. What's beautiful about that is because this is really just a pale blue, by putting the white, you can see it up here. If I have the white on top of this now, it has a way to become brighter, to become, lighter. And that will give that, if you see how this feels like it's like literally like this roll of snow in the water, that's because the top edge of that, the top side of that has that white in it. And it really pops and really pushes it forward. So the same thing is going to go on in here ultimately. And that's the beauty of that pale blue. Again, you look at that and you say, oh, it's white snow. So you paint it white and then you have nowhere to go, So just a thought. All right. I would need an extremely large foot bellow to change. Damn. That's awesome. Tim is trying to be all serious last night, because Tim's knowledge of the anatomy is breathtaking. And, of course, he's being all serious, and I can't help myself. And so I apologize in advance, Tim. All right, so the blue. So again, this is just it's ultramarine blue, and it's got a bunch of reducer in it. That's it. There's probably 40, 50 in here as well. Again, I mixed this up so long ago. But knowing what I was going to be doing with it, I'm assuming there's 40, 50, or there might even be 40, 30 in it, but some sort of binder. But it's very, 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 very thin. It's super thin, crazy thin. So what that allows me to do, let me pick one first. Yeah, it's mostly over here anyway. So I'll lift it up a little bit so you can see it. I use copies all the time, perfect for sizing my drawings to fit the object I'm painting in ghosts and outlines. Yeah, that's it. It's that's the way I describe it. I describe it as it's a roadmap, And if I showed, and I do, that's why I like to put up those time lapses of the 543s especially. If you see what those photocopies give me, it's literally that. It's just a roadmap. It saves me the effort of having to sketch it out, erase those lines, readjust them, which you need to know how to do. I mean, if you're an artist, I love people ask if, you need to know how to draw to airbrush. Technically, no, but you should be excited about all of the art, So if you're painting, you should kind of want to be able to draw too. It just kind of goes hand in hand. But it's the same thing, It's like that, just the effort and the time it takes to sketch it out, refine it, erase it, rework it, back and forth, which you should know how to do. I can take all that off my plate by just having a quick roadmap put down originally, either by the photocopies or you name it, a projector or a camera lucida or a camera obscura or a photocopier or whatever it is, a plotter. It just takes out that back and forth, I guess. So, all right. And so no problem. I've been thinking of buying a vinyl plotter for years and finally stated about to use Cameo 3. Nice. Yes, I just said that. Yeah, if you watch Mike Learn or Scott McKay or, any of the artists that use a plotter, same deal. You have this vectored artwork that has all the pre-cuts in it. You use it as a guide and then you go from there. It's like, yeah, true. If you take like a skull template or the plotter and you lay it down and you spray one pass over it and you pull it off and that's your art, then you're in a pool now with a bunch of other people who can do exactly the same thing. It doesn't take a skill. You know what I mean? I mean, technically it does because you have to know how to use an airbrush basically to get that to work. But for the most part, it's not the goal. The goal is to have just a starting point for your art. So again, I could go on and on, but I'm not gonna because we got stuff to do. All right, so like in here, this really nice blue as this kind of tucks in right there between, well, I missed this little guy right here, but it's okay. So that's what this blue is for. Now the trick with this blue is because it's so thin, I have to work really, really slow with it. And that's the idea. The idea is to be able to build this up in an imperceptible way. And again, that's the control that this color has, and also the airbrush too. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's doing this because of just the paint. The airbrush atomizes paint at a ridiculously small level. And it's nice because we were just talking about this on one of my other feeds. It has an air, basically an air adjusting valve on here too, so you control how much air runs across the surface or, leaves the airbrush. So that just gives it even more control over that spray. But that's it. So you can kind of see how it just barely starts to build up. Now this is too bright. This is more of a tinting blue than this gray, so I don't want to go too far with it without adjusting it. Maybe I will adjust it. How about that? That cutter makes funny noises too. Speaks robot to me. Gotta love the stepper motors. Yeah, the sound of a good plotter is a lot of fun. Yeah, Dwayne, that's the thing. I mean, we have two of them here. We have a Cricut, and Marge also has a GX24, Roland. It's just awesome. It's just awesome to have. I mean, it's same thing, man. It's like lights in your studio. It's like, no. I only paint with Northlight. And anyone who doesn't paint with Northlight is not a real artist. It's like, all right, fine. And again, it goes on, and it doesn't matter what you use or how you use it. There is someone who in their mind is more pure than you. And that goes true with airbrushes. So you can take it as a whole thing. Like I used to get it a lot. Like if you use an airbrush in your fine art, you're a cheat. Somehow it's a magic wand and it spits out awesome paintings, right? But even if you step back and get just into airbrushing, there are people who say if you use anything other than freehand, then it's not pure anymore. It's a cheat. And it's like, where do you draw the line? It's like, it's impossible to draw the line. So, honey, what is up? Honey, I told a story about Monday, how you mentioned that it probably would be a good idea if I ever wanted to get this painting done to maybe work on it on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever today is. So thank you, honey. And honey, thank you. It was funny when I get up in the morning, I can't help myself. It's like nonstop work all the time. So as soon as I open my eyes, I'm checking my email or whatever. And I happened to put on Facebook, and Honey's coffee post was the first thing I saw, which was awesome because I'm like, I'm going, get my coffee. All right, so what I've done while I was talking is I add a little bit of black to this. And when I say little bit, I mean a little bit. I have this black already pre-reduced at 20:1 or 1:20. So it's 1 part paint to 20 parts reducer. So it's super thin. So I added 1 drop of that to this mix. And out of the gate, it looks black in the cup, but again, it's super gigantically thin. So what I can do is on that area that I just did that's too blue, so you get that grayish steel blue and then that blue that's the tinted blue, because I forgot that it has no black in it. I can just, again, it's literally, I say it's like thinking paint, and then that's what happens. And that's exactly what it is. So I'm pulling the trigger back just to back it up, just off the resting forward position, and literally the black is coming out like an imperceptible level, and then that's going to tint that blue to the steel gray, which is up here. So what I have to do is I just have to be patient with it. Again, even though I don't see paint coming out, the gut reaction is to pull the trigger back farther. But then that's when it spider webs and gets everywhere. So I just sit here and I just keep rocking that trigger back. And I can't even tell you how little I'm pulling the trigger back. I'm just like thinking about it, that kind of thing. And that's what it does. It just tints that to that black. So that's how that works. Simon Carter, what is up? I do a lot of tanks and things and have the same image in more than one spot, And Dwayne, I mean, you'd be foolish to do any kind of logos without a plotter. And I don't care. I mean, I love sign painters. They're amazing at what they do. And some of them work like a plotter, but the quality you get from a plotted, like with letters and things like that, is just what you want on a motorcycle. Really, if you're replacing a logo or putting a logo on there, you can't do it without a plotter. That's just crazy. Again, yeah, is it amazing if someone could hand cut a stencil that looked like it was cut from a plotter? Yeah, technically that would be amazing, but that'd take way too much freaking work. So there we go. So Honey says, Tim, artists have been using tools to facilitate their art for years. Anyone who believes otherwise is showing their ignorance. And that is absolutely true. There is a book, and I meant to write it down. Again, it's all this camera lucida stuff I've been kind of getting into. There's a professor who he reintroduced this camera for artists, but he also mentioned a book, and I can't remember the title of it, but I wrote it down. And it's basically artist secrets in quotes. It's all these how the evidence shows that a lot of these artists that we think had just done these amazing pieces of art used zero technology, but they used all of their technology that was available to them. So that's it. And again, I have no problem if you want to sit there with a hollow tube and do cave paintings because that's pure to you, that's pure art, then power to you. That is amazingly awesome. My thing is, as soon as you tell someone else that what you're doing is correct and what they're doing is incorrect, that's when it gets weird. You know what I mean? For me, I think it's universal that there is a skill involved with good art and an education in a way. But as far as what you do with it or how you do it, as long as there's that skill, and I can't be able to do it without training. You know what I'm saying? So if someone does something and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. It's not my kind of art, but I could never just pick up something and do what that person is doing, then it's instant respect from me. If I look at it and I say, okay, I can, you tell me how you did it, I can do it exactly the same way as you because it's a low skill based thing. That's great. That's art. That's cool. But it's not, for me, it doesn't have the same kind of pull. Hopefully that makes sense. That's my take. There are people who think that, a dog pooping and then you stepping in it is art, and that's fine too. You can do whatever you want. But, again, it's the wonderful thing about being a person. You can have your own thing. All that ranting just on coffee. I do not come from an artistic background at all. If I'm painting a face, you can be damn sure I'll be using a mask to place the features, not the only way, but it works for me. And Simon, if you're taking it seriously, if you're taking your art seriously and you're using these tools like a projector or the photocopies or whatever, you are learning. So what happens is that's your jumping off point. Like if you want to know what Tim knows, for instance. So you start your portraiture and you're using these things like templates or whatever. You're going to get to a point where you're loving it so much that you want to go back. You want to take those steps and get down those things that your tools are saving you time on. That's how it works if you're passionate about it, and that's great. That's awesome. So I don't know. Yeah, that's it. And the same thing, Tim. If I said, Tim, you got to do your next portrait and not use a single mask, you're not going to curl up into a ball and start rocking back and forth and sucking your thumb, because you can do it without the masks, but it's just faster if you have them. I've never understood how, if a hard edge is required and a template is used, some complain that there are no hard edges in nature. Tell that to the coffee table I just smashed my big toe on the other day. Yeah, that's absolutely true, Dan. And then the other fun thing is black. That people say, oh, never use black in your paintings because it doesn't appear in real life. And it's like, okay, just grab someone, look into their beautiful eyes, and their pupils are black. So there you go. And it is what it is. It is just what it is. I know I can't go more than that. All right, let me switch out because I think I have done just about what I can do on this because like I said, actually, that's not what I want to do. Can I get, I should be able to. Yes, I can. Ta-da. It's all the fun stuff. So let's go, where I want to go. Here. I'm going to pull this to show the whole thing. You guys can see the whole thing from up here. But, and yes, I've finally broken down and ordered new cotton gloves. The only reason I did, because these, the ones I use for painting, as long as they're clean and, I mean, this used to be white, but as long, they got overspray all over them. As long as they're dry and clean, that's all I really care about. But I use them also when I'm framing to handle the museum glass. And those need absolutely no help, museum glass, getting fingerprints on them. So I do need clean pairs for those, and I ran out. So what happens is the framing gloves turn into the painting gloves. So that's how that works. So for those who are like horrified by my horror movie glove, they'll be replaced soon. But this is how it's coming out. So you guys are on board with this whole thing as I do this. I'll keep you in the loop. Whenever I work on this, what I'll probably do before I do this painting again live is I'll finish all of this, and then I could start working on the water. Because right now, I mean, that's it. When I get this part done, and then I just do this small section down here, which is pretty intense, but still, it's just a smaller area of the painting. Then this painting's done. So I'm in good shape. I think. I hope. I think. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. All right, let me move this out of the way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pack up all my crap, which is fun. So yes, I'm really looking forward to getting back to Massachusetts. Again, my oldest son's birthday is coming up this weekend. And this weekend is just it's a good, timing-wise, it's a good weekend for me to kind of shoot home. To see everyone. My other two children, my daughter and my youngest son, were both born in December. So that is a crazy time to go home. But this time, I think what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to probably try to shoot home at Christmas, which I haven't been for the past couple of years, mostly because of COVID. But yeah, I've always planned my trips around Christmas to avoid the crowds. So that's kind of what's going on. So it's exciting. I'll be there for a week, but again, nothing will change except for next week's YouTube Live. There won't be a YouTube Live because my channel is too small still. So I can go live from my computer, but I'm not dragging all that with me. I just can't go live from a mobile device until I have a channel that's a certain size, and mine is not that size yet. So that's what I go with that. So Monday Night Live is on. We're doing that. Open Studio will hit next Thursday because I've already preloaded that, so that's ready to go. I don't think I'll have a time lapse or Tech Tuesday because I'll be on the road, but I promise I will get back to those. And that's what I got. So thank you all for hanging out with me today. This was really fun. I enjoyed this, and it was a nice break. So that's good. Great. So that's what I got. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll probably catch a lot of you online at some of the other feeds. And yeah, that's what I got. All right. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will catch you guys next time.